Okay, what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly Forex analysis. On the screen of the pairs we'll be analyzing today, but try to make sure you stay to the end of the video because I will be breaking down what's happened this week and potentially what will be happening next week as well. So I hope you do enjoy the video, but with all that said, guys, let's get into it. Okay, so first up we've got Euro USD. So for this pair this week, we were expecting some upside bullish continuation. We had this impulsive move here, expecting some retracement for price to turn bullish again. So we mainly focus on price returning to some past areas of support, which gave us a nice move up, retesting that area and seeing some upside. So we did see that briefly, but going into the 4H time frame, you can see price struggled to maintain that bullish momentum, pretty much consolidated for 2-3 days of the week before eventually rolling over there. So the market had a hard time pushing through resistance, and if I show you specifically which level, it was mainly this area here where previously price was pushing into this level, maintaining that consolidation underneath it before we did have that brief breakout, but we came back to test that area again and actually rolled over. So the market's having a tough time pushing bullish, and the fact that we're actually holding this level now and seeing some bearish momentum from it is telling me that probably price is going to roll over for Euro, at least back into this level. But if we can break through that, we've got a second area where the market probably will come into at 1.124, and then there's price swing lows down here and potentially those lows there if the overall bearish trend does continue. Because if we do zoom out for a brief moment, you can see overall we are still very much in that bearish trend. So there's definitely that information that we need to take into account for. So yeah, Euro USD holding on to that 1.138 area. We failed to break above, which probably would have given us that continuation, but we held and starting to look bearish now. And even I just looked at the DXY as well. Now I'm expecting some upside this week for the DXY. So I'm expecting Euro to roll over again this week, probably those lows to get taken out. Like I said, on the daily time frame, we've got that second level of support, which will be the second target, third target and fourth, but I'm not sure if we'll do that within 1 week. So I'm just going to mainly focus on these three targets for this week. So Euro USD, predominantly looking at sales now. The fact that we held that, looks like the market is giving us a lower high here. It did give us a double top there. Now we've got the impulsive move, price giving us a lower high, and now we're seeing impulsive moves back down. So looking for retracement, a great setup if price was to retrace back into this resistance again at 1.138. that would be a great place for sales back into that support and all those three targets. But we might not do that. We might climb half the way up back into this support here with those wicks in the 4H. So again, we'll be focusing on shorts from around that area, but predominantly looking at shorts for Euro. And those are my targets for the week. I'll only look for longs again for Euros if we climb back above 1.138, because then we would have seen a shift in momentum and also that break in structure we're looking for. Then targets will be that double top there for Euro USD and potentially higher, of course. So that's the only way I'm looking for longs. Again, I'm not really interested. From what I'm seeing now, it does look like the market's getting ready to roll over here. So only if we do break above, I'll focus on those longs. But from what I'm seeing, it looks like the market's going to roll over. So predominantly looking at sells either back at that resistance, or if we form a low high somewhere back into that level, and then target 1.12350 and target 3 around the 1.12 area for next week. Okay, so up next we've got USD JPY. So for this pair coming into the week, I was bullish on it, looking for price to climb higher. Again, support was holding, market structure was still bullish. There was no real reason to short USD JPY. However, as the week progressed, we did see structure start to shift, levels start to break. And actually, last week I did say on the 4H time frame that if we do climb back below this trend line here, and also back below this daily level of support, which was holding when I was doing my analysis, that we could actually roll over. So the fact that we've done that now, and with an impulsive price action as well, does look like USD JPY is about to roll over. We tried to go bullish, we tapped into these highs here, but failed to create any new highs. and also failed to show any continuation to the upside. So it does look like USD JPY is going to roll over. I'm not going to say complete reversal just yet, but it does look like next week we probably will see some more downside. So I'm looking at mainly this support here, again that previous test of that trend line, and obviously that initial test of the trend line, or the kind of foundation of the trend line, which gave us that double bottom at 113,600 and 114,200 is the targets I'll be having for next week for USD JPY. So as you can see, the market found the high up here, formed that low, formed a new lower high, and also broke beneath that trend line, giving us this new low. So you can see that bearish structure there forming. So as long as we don't break structure next week, looking for the market to roll over back down into this support, and potentially that support as well if we do see some real impulsive price action. So the setups I'll be looking for is simply for price to pull back, hopefully into this area here, as long as we don't take out that structure there, looking to short the market back down, and that will be the target. Also, we do have this support here on the left that if price can get underneath will be term resistance, so that also will be a nice place to short if we don't have that deeper pullback we're after. So again, looking for those short opportunities, but for me, I'm not really interested in any longs right now. It's looking like the market's rolling over, failing at those highs, and those are my two targets for the week. I will point out though that although I'm looking to sell the market, we do potentially have price forming a deeper pullback of this bullish trend, which could go bullish. So for that to happen, I do want to see the market break back above this area and then retest, and then we'll go long. So potentially that could happen. Again, I will show you guys the setup, how it looks, but I'm mainly focused on the sales, but just letting you guys be aware of that buying opportunity from this break and retest into those highs there could potentially happen. But as we're looking right now, it is looking like USD JPY is about to roll over. So shorts next week for USD JPY, first target 114,200 and second target 113,600. Okay, so now I want to move on to USD CAD. So USD CAD this week, again, not much from this pair. I can pretty much just draw a box around price there, and we haven't gone anywhere for the past 2-3 weeks now for USD CAD. We're just consolidating. So coming into the week, I was looking for mainly sales for USD CAD. I did say if we break above this, I was looking for the breakout into those highs, which in fact I'll get into in a moment for next week. But for this week, we're looking at this resistance here, seeing for hold, and I said if we can hold this again, looking for sales to the downside. You can see on the 4H time frame there, we came in about a couple times. So I said if we hold this area, look for sales again, first target right back at this support. And I said if we can break through this, which I was expecting price to break back into this support here, but you can see clearly looking at the price action, we failed to break through that level. Price found support, another higher low in fact, and pushed back into there right before the weekly candle closed there. So USD CAD didn't roll over and was still obeying that support. So looking again at structure, you can see we've had this impulsive move here, and price is kind of just consolidating from that. So we well could get another impulsive move and get like that impulse continuation and impulse pattern there. So I'm kind of more neutral for USD CAD, but I do think USD CAD probably will go and break through that resistance now, especially after falling that higher low. So again, the best opportunity is to wait for the breakout. We do have this trend line here, which could be a nice reference to look at as well, which prices keep putting those wicks into. But as for targets for USD CAD for the next week or so, I'm looking at price to come back into those highs at 1.29500. There is a level here to be aware of, which is that high where we collected those wicks at. We did see some downside at around 1.28370, so do be aware of that. But I feel like if you do break out of this, this kind of flag pattern, I do think price will make it to those highs and break through this level. It might stall and retrace, but end goal is still back to those highs for USD CAD. So looking at buying opportunities, the best opportunity probably wait for price to break above this area, retest, first target being that daily level at 1.28300, and then we're going to look at 1.29500 all the way up there. So that's really what I'm going to be looking at for USD CAD. We may pull back, form another higher low, which could present again some nice buys as well, so that could be an opportunity to look for, but mainly looking for that break, the retest, first target, second target next week for USD CAD.
Sorry to interrupt the video, guys, but if you are enjoying the content and you find it useful, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below, and also make sure you drop a like as well. It really does help the channel out. But anyway, back to the video.
Okay, so now I'm going to move on to Euro Pound. So Euro Pound this week, pretty much just more downside momentum from this one. Again, coming into the week, we're looking mainly for buys. I did say my main area of interest will be this support here, which price is actually just coming into right now. I was looking for that momentum to kind of spill over and then look for some buys, but we kind of correctly fell over. At one point, price was holding this area, so it potentially could have gone bullish, but we failed to sustain those highs, and we did roll over. So we're coming still into this, important level of support for Euro Pound. We know where we are on the higher time frames. If I go to the monthly chart real quick, you can see we're still trading at a very important area of support, which obviously we could react to and hold, or we could break through. But if we do hold this, we definitely could see a lot of upside for Euro Pound. So you can see on the weekly chart, price still correctly rolling over, but there is still a possibility that this bottom wick here, because again, massive move to the upside, a lot of liquidity beneath that low, we could go and hunt beneath that before we do see that bigger move to the upside for Euro Pound. So do be aware of that. We could spill over first before we do eventually push up if we hold the level. But I'm mainly looking for buys at this area simply because you can see this is the support which price keeps revisiting and keeps holding and seeing that momentum. You can see in the 4H a little bit better, big push up and an even bigger push up from that same area. So looking for buys here predominantly. If we do break through, I'll sit back, see what price does, especially if we start holding this as resistance, then price probably will go and take out those lows before maybe we do see some upside. But I'm mainly going to be focused on buys here. So if we could hold this, great, I'll look for buys. Break through, I'll look for price to get back above, and then again look for the buying opportunities. But I definitely want to be buying price above this level. Below, we could actually go and break through that monthly level potentially. So main focus is at 0.83100, so around that 0.83 area, nice psychological level. We'll look for buys, and again targets, if this does play out, we're looking at a very, very big move for Euro Pound back to those highs and maybe even further. But obviously there is a few areas of support resistance we can look to target beforehand, before we do get to those highs. But main target will be all the way back up to 0.84700. Might take a couple of weeks to get there depending how we're moving, but we do have those targets beforehand to look at. So Euro Pound, looking at longs from 0.833100, as long as we can stay above, looking for price to swing back to highs for next week. Okay, so now we've got Aodu USD. So for this pair this week, was bullish coming into the week again, looking for price to push higher. I did say at the start of the week, I did say in my weekly analysis last week that at the start I'm looking for a bit of dollar weakness, then followed by some dollar strength, and we did see that. However, towards the end of the week, we did see a bit more dollar weakness. So you can see we did see some upside for AUD/USD. We're climbing back above this support here on the left. So simply looking for the market to find that next higher low. You can see how price was moving, forming that low there, the high, the higher low, higher high. So anticipating of the higher low, looking for price to return back to highs and some resistance up there. However, we did see that initial momentum, but we failed to sustain that, and it does look like price is starting to form a lower high here and is struggling to push on. As a result of that, I'm looking for the market to roll over back down into this area. And looking on the daily time frame, you can see we've got this wick here which price is holding into right now and failing to break through. So I'm looking at price returning back into this 0.71 support, and if we can break through that, we can potentially head back down to these lows for AUD/USD towards 0.7. And like I said, I'm still expecting some dollar strength in the market, so it does play into that idea. So looking for sales for AUD, as long as we can hold this 0.72 area where the daily keeps putting those wicks into. Right now it does look like the market's get ready to roll over, so hopefully next week we can get some opportunity for a bit of retracement, maybe in the lower time frames, and then look for price to roll over right back down into 0.71, which is that support we found this week. And then if we can break through that, you can see here's a bit of a false break here. We tested, test. So if you can get the true break of that, we'll look for price to return back down to these lows here, just underneath 0.7, so basically around 0.7. So yeah, AUD for me, I'm looking for price to roll over. As long as we can hold below, break above, we'll start looking at the resistance up there and probably get some sells from up there. But very corrective behavior here, so looking for price to spill over. First target 0.7, second target 0.69700. Okay, so now I'm going to take a look at NZD CAD. So NZD CAD this week, we did see some upside, which was expected. I did say last week during my weekly analysis, we're looking for buys for price to push higher. We were forming this bullish structure, as you can see, high, low, high, low, high, low. I said if you can pull back into this area, that would be great. Look for some buys around here. It kind of formed a support just above that area before rallying to the upside, but we did play into that bullish structure and we did see price push past those highs. I did say at the start of the week we will be looking at some downside to begin with, because you can see aggressive wick, aggressive wick, aggressive wick into that same 0.85 area. So we were expecting price to roll over, retrace for us, and then look for buys to take it back up again. And you can see we are looking bullish above that area. Targets were this support here on the left at 0.85600, and then this support here at 0.86 200 100 area. So coming into next week, predominantly looking for sales now that the buy move is kind of running out of juice and sort of over. Yes, we could still rally, but we're coming into areas where sellers could be stepping in, and the fact that we are still kind of bearish on a longer term. You can see how price is moving here, low, high, low, high, low, potentially new high for price to roll over. So we'll be looking at sells. Again, we don't have to target all the way down here to be profitable, just looking for the market to find some levels, mainly in the 4H time frame, which we could sell into. So taking that information onto the 4H, again coming to that area not too far away, looking for price to kind of claw its way into that area. We'll see what type of price action we can get, then we'll look for sells, something like that. And again, first target we'll look at is this area, then we've got a second target in around about here, which is that resistance and that support, and also the support down here. So just looking for this move to happen next week. Again, price could stop at either one of these areas, so we'll look at them, see how price reacts, and if price is starting to reject, you can probably close your trade or take some profit or something like that at one of those areas. And then we do have this major area up here, 0.686200. We will also look for sells if this level doesn't hold, looking for price to roll over. First target being this level again, because now it will be support. And if you can break through, we can extend it to some of those targets down there. But this level is quite important, because if I do take this across, you can see it was support for this big move up, and we broke through here and never got the retest of that on the daily time frame. So this will be the first time price is testing that level as resistance since the breakout. So good possibility we can react bearish from that and see some downside. So for next week, looking for sales. First area of interest 0.85600, and then second 0.86 100 200 up around there, and looking for sales into those areas. Okay, so next up we've got pound NZD. So this pair we're expecting downside this week. Again, we're still trading at a very critical region on the weekly time frame, if I can show you quickly, which was basically our main talking point last week on the weekly analysis video. We had this wick here, which price gave us a very big move to the downside, that false break, and this is the first time we are revisiting that area. since that break there. We didn't quite do it over here, so looking for some downside from this area. Again, you can see we're holding down the weekly time frame and looking for price to return back into this resistance, turn support, maybe continue bullish or break through. We'll have to see, but we are looking for price to retrace into this area. So still looking for that for pound NZD. I did say last week that we are coming back into the consolidation area, so you can look for sells at the top of the consolidation. I did say it's a bit more risky, clearly is a bit more risky knowing that the momentum is still bullish, but we could look for sells here. But most importantly, I said if price was to break through and retest this support, that'll be a great place to enter and ride those sells. However, this was during the Asian session, so I wasn't really looking at the chart at that time, but we did get that reaction there for pound NZD. So still looking for the market to roll over. The important thing is that price doesn't climb back inside this consolidation, because at that point we might be putting some higher lows in the market and could actually go and break through the level still. So predominantly looking for sells this week. We'll be looking to see if we can come back and get another retest of that level. Again, stop loss just above the consolidation, and looking for a push into the lows here, which will be the first target, which you might just hit at the start of the week. To be honest, we might do something like this, come into the level and then retrace. First target back here, and our second target will obviously be that higher time frame level on the daily, which is this area. Go on the daily quickly again, actually no, the weekly, sorry, which is this level here. So looking for price to come back into that. It looks like that on the daily. You could probably just refine the level a little bit more. So focusing on this kind of 2.005 level down there for pound NZD. So that's what we're looking for. Also, you can look for break and retest off the low, and that will be a nice area to get back in if we don't get entries further up. But like I said, as long as we stay out of the consolidation, looking for sales, that level being the first target, and then daily region down there being the second target for the week. Okay, so now we'll take a look at CAD JPY. So CAD JPY this week, again, not too much this week, but we are starting to roll over a little bit. Coming into the week, I was mainly bullish on CAD JPY, looking for price to return back into this high up here, and potentially some highs up there as well at 93. So we did see price initially hold this support, which I said last week, as long as we hold this support, looking for price to go up. We did see that upside, however, didn't quite come into those highs, formed a lower high with a fairly impulsive move, and now we're seeing that kind of impulsive move coming back into life there towards the end. So CAD JPY is starting to look bearish, and we're starting to give us these major lower highs, which is giving us the indication that actually this support is probably going to break soon, and we're probably going to spill over to the downside. Looking at the higher time frame, especially the daily, you can see we've got this major higher high over here just before that higher high. So the previous higher high is a strong level of resistance, and price is failing to get above that level. So this is telling me that CAD JPY is struggling to find that bullish momentum. Bears are stepping in, and I'm expecting this to roll over. We do have this area here, which I'll be looking at as the first area, which is not too far away. But if we can break through that, like I said, probably about 3-4 weeks ago, price could actually make it down to this 88 region here. So that's what I'm mainly looking at for CAD JPY now. As long as we stay below this, the lower highs in the 4 hour are giving us that signal that we're probably going to roll over now. So looking for the market to roll over, again, not too far away from this support. So looking for the market to probably pull back, form another lower high, maybe back into that area and back into this support. But the main thing I'm looking for is for this level to finally break and hold underneath, and then we'll be looking at this big move here of around 200 pips to the downside. So CAD JPY for me is looking like it's about to roll over here. Failed to take those highs at 91,500-ish. So yeah, if we can pull to the upside, before we break through this, then 100% we'll be looking at selling opportunities, maybe back at this prior lower high here. Maybe there's some levels on the hourly or the 30 minutes to look at as well. But pretty much as long as we stay below that structure, as you can see, lower high, lower high, lower high. As long as we don't take out one of those lower highs, unless it's a wick or something, expecting the market to roll back into the support at 89,700, and then if we can get the break, we're looking at the market rolling over into that 88 area. but if we can get below, we'll look for the break and retest as well, and targets all the way down there. So that's the plan for CAD JPY, probably for the next couple of weeks. To be fair, I'm not expecting that move in one go, but it's looking like market's about to roll over now. So shorts for next week, as long as we don't take out probably 91 area, looking at 89,800 first, and then 88 down there. Okay, so up next we've got pound USD. So this pair right now, very choppy, just consolidating really. You can see nothing really too much for the past couple of weeks. We did see some really nice momentum, but now a little bit sideways, which does mean prices building up, getting ready for a bigger move in the near future. But as of right now, we're still quite choppy. Coming into the week, I did have that bullish bias for pound that I was talking last week on my analysis, that if we can hold this level here, just above 1.35, looking for price to rally back into this level, and then if you can get the break of that, I'm looking for 1.37 up there. You can see we did see that initial rally, but we failed to take out that level into 1.37. So the fact that I'm expecting dollar strength this week means that potentially pound USD can roll over. So I'm leaning towards more short side of things. Typically when the markets range like this, I tend to leave my bias out of it, focus on the highs and lows of the range, and wait for price to make its move before I start to formulate my bias and start to potentially look for some trading setups. So with this said, I'm expecting pound USD to fall, but the other USD pairs are looking a lot better than pound, so I won't be focused on this one too much until it breaks out basically. So euro looks a lot better. USD CAD is consolidating, but I can make a lot more sense of that, so that one looks better. AUD looks a lot better. Even gold looks a lot better as well, which I'll get into in a moment, and USD JPY looks better as well. So pound USD for me is still ranging, but I will expect to see this level hold and price to rally back into, not rally, but fall into 1.35. So I'm expecting this to happen. If you're looking for intraday moves, maybe even like medium term swing moves as well, because the range is about 100 pips, so you know it can be a worthwhile trade to look at from that high into that low. But me, I'm mainly looking at the breakout. We can still break to the upside, and if we do, I'm looking at price going back into 1.37, so looking for the break and retest, and that'll be my target. Or if we break to the downside, which is what I'm expecting, I'm looking for price to move into those lows down here. Do have a little bit of a target to look at, this support and resistance there, but I'm expecting price to move back into those lows. So that's what I'm looking at for pound USD this week. You can look to trade that within that range if that's what you want, but as for direction, I'll wait for the breakout and then trade pound USD respectively, either back to 1.37 or 1.338. Okay, so now I'm going to take a look at pound CAD. So pound CAD this week looking bullish, which was expected. I said I'm expecting this level here to break next week, and as you can see, we're breaking through it now. So pound CAD looking bullish, which was expected. I said if the market does roll over, I'm just looking to buy it back up essentially, because the market is still bullish on a higher time frame, daily, weekly perspective as well. So as long as we don't take out support versus price structure, we probably will push up, and we did see quite a violent reaction there. So pound CAD for me, I'm expecting price to move higher. The fact that we're trading above this level is good. Again, not the cleanest break in the world, but structure is still bullish here, so looking for that to continue. We'll be looking to see if we can hold 1.73, which is this resistance turn support, and we'll be looking for buyers to the upside. Our target for pound CAD is 1.74500, which was this support here, turn resistance, and also bearing in mind 1.74, which is just below that area there. So make sure you do take account for that, because we could roll over from there as well. Do have some resistance and supply all the way over here as well, which may turn price against you. But looking for pound CAD to hit that level there, 1.745, that's our main target. If we do break underneath and start holding as resistance, then yes, you probably could sell it back down, back into this support. Probably wouldn't look past that, but you know, that should be more than enough pips anyway. Still looking at about 140. So that's the only way I'll really take sales for pound CAD. I'm looking at the daily, I'm looking at the weekly. Everything is pretty much looking bullish. So not really interested in sales, but if we break underneath and have 1, 2, 3 attempts trying to break back above and we fail, then yeah, we probably will roll over, and that support would be my target. So that's the only way I'll look for sales, but for me, looking at buys back into 1.75 for next week. And now we're going to move on to pound JPY. So for this pair this week, again, had a bullish bias, looking for price to continue back into highs at this resistance here, and then potentially even those highs all the way up there at the 158 area, which you can see we did not meet this week. We did see that brief move to the upside, but it was very, very corrective, and price is still struggling to push higher. So similar to CAD JPY, we're starting to put these lower highs in the market, and you can see the bullish momentum is very, very corrective. It's not strong. The bears are still trying to keep price from moving higher, and it does look like they are winning this battle. So for me, for pound JPY, there's a very, very key level that price is trading still above 155.500. If this level breaks, I'm looking for price to simply come back to these lows, and looking for price to swing over back into 153, which is about 250 pips, 240, 250 pips to the downside. So the main kind of setup I'm looking at for pound JPY, the cleanest one would be the break and retest of this level, and looking for that sell, which may or may not happen next week, but that's the main thing I'm looking for. Like I said, it does look like the market is starting to put these lower highs in, especially with those wicks and those impulsive moves. So if we can stay below this area, which does look like to be our next lower high, again, it's not confirmed. Why? Because we haven't taken that low yet. So again, the market could still push bullish and climb higher. But the way price is moving, especially with that wick there on Friday and the momentum, it does look like pound JPY is getting ready to roll over. So looking at predominantly sells now, not interested in buys anymore. If we hold this level, firmly, then yeah, maybe you can get some buys in to the upside, but otherwise not focused on the buys. So I'm mainly looking to see if we can sell off. Either if price was to return back into this level, I'll look for sales, or if price was to break and retest, because this is all consolidation, break and retest the consolidation. So basically look for an entry like this, similar to pound NZD, and then look at sales back into that support. First target, if we can break through, we'll look to see if we can make a move into those lows. But like I said, predominantly looking for sales for pound JPY. So looking for sales basically in that consolidation area, as long as we don't take out that resistance, looking for sales either at that level or that level there. But the cleaner setup obviously will be kind of backing away from that kind of mess around there and just waiting for that support to break. And if it breaks, great, we'll look for the retest and the sell off. If it doesn't, then yeah, you can look for buyers to take it higher. But looking for pound JPY to roll over. First target 155.500, and if we can break through that, we're looking at 153 all the way down there. Again, probably not next week we'll hit that, but that's the target we'll have for the next coming weeks for pound JPY. And now we've got gold. So gold, as you can see, still rallying, still looking strong to the upside there. We were bullish on gold coming into the week after we took out especially 1830. We're just looking at this market to really just rally and continue. First target for the week was this resistance here, which we smashed quite early on. And then we're looking at price returning into this area around 1910, which you can see we just about missed up there. So we're still seeing that bullish upside momentum. The market is, however, stalling at a significant level, which is this 1900 area. As you can see, resistance there from that brief double top with those candlesticks, 1, 2, before absolutely melting to the downside there for gold. So you can see we're actually holding just underneath that, so not quite at the level I said last week, just below it. So again, got to react to that, see where the market is reacting to. Might not always hit the levels, but certainly this level here, psychological level, strong area of supply and resistance, the market is struggling to break through this. So as a result, gold potentially could see some downside. Again, we've seen quite a big move. The market could go and look to retrace now. Naturally, we do have this swing high here, which price didn't retest when it broke through. So we do have a potential target for price to retrace into. I'm not sure if I expect gold to retrace more than that. If it breaks underneath, gold might push a lot further. If I do get a fib on this move here, 50% is around there, which is lines up with this high, so maybe even retrace into that. But predominantly, if I go in the 4H time frame, looking at sells back into 1868, 1870, you can see right now we're having a hard time breaking through. So if you can keep that up, looking to sell gold back down to this level, and if you can start to hold this, and again looking for buys, maintaining that upside momentum, and looking for price to reach back to 1900, and then at that point we could probably see that extra push further into 1910, back into the highs up there. So that's the plan for gold for next week. Looking for sells to start the week off. Again, it is a counter trend move, so do be careful with that. But if we do hold this, probably will see some downside, and then if you can respect that level as support, looking for push back into 1910, up there for next week. And last but not least, we've got Bitcoin. So Bitcoin this week, as you can see, did see some downside, which was expected. I said last week on my analysis that we're looking for Bitcoin to rally to the upside, see if it can hold 44k, and if it does, we're looking for a drop to the downside. And you can see we actually went and broke through that support as well. So market is looking quite bearish right now. We're holding on to 44k, which was our previous swing high there. Also on the weekly time frame was prior support here, now holding a resistance, so a very, very key area, even in the higher time frames. But going to the 4H, you can see the structure is looking pretty clean now. We're looking at a push into this resistance here at 30, just under 39k, and this support here as well, which gave us that rally to the upside around 36,500. So still looking at more downside for Bitcoin. Again, if that is the lower high, the next lower high in the market, we can expect price to reach these lows here. But again, just for next week, looking at these two levels, potentially that level if we plummet, but we'll be focused on these levels here. So looking at some retracement now for Bitcoin, because you can see we do have some really nice structure here. We've got the high up there, forming this low, forming this high, and maybe forming a low around here. So I want to see some retracement for Bitcoin. We've got that lower high here, so pretty much the market can retrace anywhere within here, and we're looking for this level to hit first, and then that level down there as our second target. We could see maybe the market roll over slightly into this level, then retrace, but we're looking for some upside first, really, because the markets have really dropped, so we need to retrace before we look for that next swing. Two areas I'm focusing on, which is this support, which we didn't get the retest on, so looking to see if this will hold as resistance first, and then second target. So we'll be looking at something like that. Again, you can drop it hourly or whatever time frame you're looking to trade it. Or a second area I'm looking at, which is generally this area here, that resistance there. Again, looking for sells at that area, next lower high or equal highs, and target back down to that same support at 36,500. So more downside for Bitcoin, looking for some upside, whether it's from here or from that support, doesn't really matter. Still remains the same. That will be our first target, and that will be our second target for next week. So looking for sales for Bitcoin, hopefully some upside, and first target 38,500, and then we'll look at 36,500 down there for next week.
Okay, so that is the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed that, found that useful. Like always, guys, leave a comment down below if you have any questions, agree or disagree, or didn't understand anything. Leave a like if you're enjoying the content. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any uploads in the future as well. But I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll catch you all next week.